There we go. And I'll pin this. Alrighty, well, welcome. My name is Carrie McGinn. I am the owner of Live Good, Feel Good. In a moment, I'll be sharing my screen and we'll be going through lots of fun stuff today about really soul self-care. And there's a lot of stuff I want to overview and really touch on a bunch of different things. But after today's little webinar, I will send you not only the recording, but also a little ebook with some of the more tangible tools. So if there's anything that we go over that you're like, oh, I want to know how to do that, but I don't remember quite exactly what to do from the webinar, then you'll have some YouTube links and some write-ups so that you know what to do and you can try it on your own at home. Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen with you. Beautiful. So good. Alrighty, so once again, welcome. Soul Self-Care. Live Good, Feel Good is my company. I am Carrie McGinn, and just a little bit about me. I am a physical therapist, a yoga instructor, and a coach. I have my Doctor of Physical Therapy degree from MGH, and I am 200-hour certified and currently working on my 300-hour certification at Chakra Power Yoga. And I study a lot of different things from a holistic wellness approach. So I work with traditional physical therapy, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, nervous system work, somatics, lots of great stuff that I integrate into kind of one holistic healing modality. So today what we're going to overview, and I'm going to show you a little kind of what to expect. We're going to go over a lot of my favorite things. And like I said, we're going to be touching on a lot. And in the coming months, there'll be more free webinars. And we're probably going to dive into, not probably, we're definitely going to dive into each of these topics a little bit further. But I wanted our first webinar to touch on a little bit of everything. So you have kind of a good idea. Oh, and there's the puppy right behind, right on cue. Got busted into the room. So you have a good idea of all different ways to take care of yourself, especially during this year, especially during this time. So we'll do a little bit of reflection on how you feel, tuning into your body, and reflecting on what feels good and what doesn't. We'll overview a little bit about mindfulness and meditation. Talk a little bit about mindful movement and your fascia, nourishing your nervous system, loving your lymph and breath work. When I'm helping people whether heal from pain or move better in their bodies, these are really the things I look at and I help them work through. One of the ones that we're really going to highlight today in terms of soul deep self-care is going to be nourishing your nervous system. Some of my favorite things to do. So before we go anywhere, I'm going to bring you through just a brief body check-in. I use this as a check-in, but I also use this as a meditation. It's kind of a 5 senses meditation. So depending on where you are in your home, you might want to close your eyes, you might not. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you can and start to breathe, just noticing your inhales and exhales, noticing how they kind of ebb and flow in your body, and noticing what you're starting to feel. And then on your next couple of moments, I'm going to invite you to notice what you taste. Can you notice all the tastes in your mouth? What is strong and what is subtle? Did you just have a sip of tea? Did you just eat dinner? Do you have any juice or water? When you notice these tastes, do any memories come to mind? Anything kind of pop up in the forefront of your brain? Next, bringing your awareness to your sense of smell. Maybe there's a candle nearby, or maybe someone's cooking dinner for you. I have a little sage burning in front of me. Are there any smells that are super sensitive, super strong, and super close? Are there any that are more subtle, maybe like your shampoo from this morning? Then start to notice anything you hear. Does my voice sound close or far away? Can you hear background noises in your home? What sounds are enjoyable? Do any memories pop up? And then bring your awareness to your sense of feeling. Where are your clothes touching your skin? Can you feel your hair on your skin? Are you warm or cold? Can you notice where your body touches the surface you're sitting on? Can you take it all in one moment at a time? Then can you bring your awareness to anything you may see in front of you, starting to open your eyes if they're closed? What objects are far away? What are close? What colors are in front of you? What right in front of you is your favorite thing? Maybe it's a favorite candle or a picture. Just taking in all these sights and sounds and tastes and things you see, and just noticing them and letting them create this really big picture of how you feel and where you are right here and right now. And just pause for one more breath in and one more breath out. When you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and just kind of notice how that felt in your body and how your body feels right here. A really important part of self-care and this deep self-care, this really nourishing self-care, is being able to check in with your body from moment to moment. So that kind of leads us to our next piece. I'm a big fan of journaling and writing things down. And you don't necessarily have to write things down. People can find it helpful, some people don't. But right after that little meditation, that little body check-in, what came up when you focus on your five senses? You might just think about it, you might write it down, you might type it in your phone, whatever works for you. And then really asking yourself, how does your body truly feel right now? What were your first thoughts upon finishing the meditation? And then some other things that can be really great to reflect on when we're starting this kind of self-care journey and figuring out how to better serve ourselves on a day-to-day basis and create what I call a self-care master list. And we'll dive into that a little bit more at the end. But just figuring out ways to take better care of yourself. These are some of my favorite questions to ask myself. And feel free to screenshot this, but you'll also get this after our session today. So what are three things that make you feel really good? What helps you feel connected to your mind? What helps you feel connected to your body? What lights you up? What inspires you? What are three things you find really, really fun? And what are three things you're grateful for? Just starting to think about these questions and answer them can be a really great way to kind of get to what feels good in your body and what you need to do and what you can do to help yourself relieve stress, nourish your nervous system, and just better handle stress on a day-to-day basis. And this is going to look different for everyone. And when we start to get into the self-care master list, everyone's self-care master list is going to look a little bit different, and that's totally fine. All right. So, like I said, just a brief dive into a lot of topics so we can start to build your self-care master list. Mindfulness, what is it? It's a buzzword, right? So mindfulness is to be able to connect to the space between stimulus and response. So stimulus is something happens to you. I always give the example of getting cut off in traffic, and response is what you do. So you have the option, you can honk your horn, you can throw someone the finger, you can start screaming in your car, you can just take a deep breath. And mindfulness is not like judging that one of them is good and one of them is bad. Mindfulness is just having the ability to pause between the stimulus and how you respond, and responding how you want to respond, not just out of responding on autopilot. It's really this awareness of mind, body, space around you, and the awareness of choices. It's about really being in tune with your body and mind and being present right here and right now. I really love that five senses meditation or that five senses check-in, because you have to be really present to notice all those things. And it's an act of mindfulness itself. I see mindfulness as just kind of noticing the sensations in my body, the things around me, the feelings in my body. So why is mindfulness important? Well, especially in our current kind of day and age, there's a lot of stress. So my research shows that mindfulness can do a whole host of things, such as decreasing stress levels, enhancing the ability to deal with illness, decreasing depressive symptoms, improving general health, boosts resiliency, reduces stress, supports your cardiovascular system. Like the list goes on and on, lowers blood pressure, reduces chronic pain, and improves sleep. There's a lot of things physical, emotional, and mental that mindfulness can help with. And it's not saying it's going to cure all these things, but it helps give us coping skills to deal with stress. And often when we're struggling with any of these things listed, it is secondary to stress. So, some examples of mindfulness in your daily life, or ways that you can incorporate mindfulness in your daily life, are things like mindful walking, mindful eating, daily journaling, mindful breathing, driving, waking up. So, one of my favorite things is mindful walking, not as much in the winter time, I'll be honest, up in Boston, it's kind of cold, but when there's fresh snow on the ground, I actually do really like it. So an example of mindful walking would just be even taking a walk from, say, your car to your house, or for me, like my house to my office, which is up the block, and doing so without my phone out, without headphones in, and just noticing as I walk the sounds of my feet on the floor, the ground, the sounds of cars passing by, the sounds of birds, how the wind feels on my skin, if I smell anything in the air. I really like it in the fresh snow because you can kind of hear the crunching of the snow beneath your feet. But it's just adding that layer of kind of noticing in some of the things you already do on a day-to-day basis. Mindful eating is also really great, especially if you do from start to finish, kind of cooking to eating. So especially if you're cooking at home, kind of taking in all the smells as you're cooking, all the sights, all the textures. There's actually research that proves cooking your food and smelling it before you eat it actually primes your digestive system to better able to handle food. And a lot of times when we have GI distress, stomach problems, it's because we're so used to just eating really quickly on the go and not really priming our digestive systems for eating. So as you smell food, your mouth starts to water, there's saliva, start to get hungry. Those are all really good things and really great ways to just build mindfulness into your day to day. And the same can be said for kind of all these different things, just kind of adding that extra layer of noticing. So another really great thing in the world of self-care is meditation. Meditation works for some people and people love it and swear by it, and some people it doesn't work for. For the people who it doesn't work for, my first thing is usually to say, um, there's a different type of meditation for everyone. It took me a really long time to find ones that work with me. And I'll be completely honest, it ebbs and flows for me. I went through a really good period of about a year of meditating every day. And honestly, the pandemic just threw me off because my schedule was thrown off. When I had a more solid schedule, it was just built into my day. So my two things with meditation are try a couple different types because something different works for everybody, and recognize that it's going to ebb and flow because our lives and our schedules ebb and flow. So meditation is just a simple and effective approach to training and quieting the mind for a period of time to build awareness, attention, and relaxation. It's commonly used for relaxation and stress reduction. And it's when you focus your attention and you really try to focus. You might have thoughts come in, but you keep coming back to the current moment. It's a great way to practice self care, but like I said, it's not the only way. So, some other really great ways to practice self care and incorporate mindfulness into your day to day life are mindful movement. And I use the word movement because mindful movement doesn't necessarily mean exercise. It can mean exercise, but it doesn't have to. So any movement can be mindful. Similar to, the previous slide where you can have mindful walking and mindful breathing and mindful eating, any movement practice or any movement you do can be mindful. There's really no right or wrong way to move. And what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. But there's lots of different ways to move our bodies is the best part. So one of the pieces for me about mindful movement and that I recommend people is to set an intention before you move. So asking yourself when you're either exercising or moving, and I do think they're two different things, why are you doing this? Why do you want to move or exercise? What fuels you to move or exercise? How do you want to feel after moving? Set an intention for how you want to feel and move from there, and it'll be a much more mindful experience. Too often I have people, especially young women, exercising just for the sole purpose of punishing themselves. And I've definitely been there before in my life. Um, and I totally understand it, but it's not always the best place. It's not the best place to be moving from. And it's not self care at that point. It's more of a punishment than anything. So before you kind of get into a movement session, maybe sitting with yourself and saying, why am I doing this today? Am I doing this because I feel like I have to because I ate a piece of pizza last night? Or am I doing this because I really want to feel strong, or I really want to feel mobile, or I really want to feel just like capable? All really great reasons to move. Another really important piece of mindful movement, especially in our current state of the world, is now is not the time to do anything you do not like. We have so much stress in our daily lives. There's so many things we have to get done. Move because it feels good, not to punish yourself. So that's really to say, if you hate running, especially if it's wintertime, don't freaking run. If you love Pilates and you hate running, don't force yourself to skip your Pilates session to run. If you like dancing in the kitchen with your family and your kids and you don't really want to go practice Pilates, then dance in the kitchen. It's all movement and it's all really good for ourselves. I'm also a huge fan of a little bit of something goes a long way, and a little bit of something is way better than nothing. This goes for movement, this goes for mindfulness, for self care, for meditation, for all of it. I think too often we get caught up in doing all of it, myself included, instead of just doing something that we know is going to feel good in our body. And when we get caught up trying to do like a million things, we end up not doing any of it because it becomes too overwhelming. So finding something you like, finding something that is simple is the best way to start for self-care and for movement. So here are just some examples of ways to move your body and create mindful movement around it. Dancing, yoga, hiking, walking. Walking has been my new favorite way to move mindfully and to really practice self-care, especially this summer in the pandemic. My boyfriend and I would go for many, many walks around a little town or a little city, and it was just a beautiful way to get out and notice something that wasn't just a computer screen and give myself some time. Playing, running, and another great way to really be mindful in your movement is trying something new. Because when we take a beginner's mindset and we try something new, then we really can't be overthinking it because we have to be fully present so we know what we're doing. One thing I did a year or so ago was like break out my rollerblades again. It wasn't necessarily new, but I hadn't done it since I was a kid. But I really had to like focus on being present so that I didn't fall and hurt myself. But it was a really great practice of being mindful in my body and where I was instead of like trying to be on my phone while moving or trying to do, something else. So mindful movement is a really great way to practice self-care. And at the end of all the slides today, I'm going to take us through a couple of self-care kind of practices, and one's going to be a mindful movement practice you can do in your chair at your desk that I really love, especially if you work at your computer. So on to kind of a next piece of self-care for me and my clients is working with your fascia. So like I said, we're diving into lots of different topics here today, giving you a little touch on either and everything, and we'll dive deeper into these in coming months. So I love helping people take care of their fascia because I think it's a really beautiful way to take care of your body and therefore is a really great way for self-care. And in the ebook that I will send you all, I have some really wonderful videos to help you roll out. So what is fascia? Fascia is connective tissue that surrounds and holds every organ, blood vessel, bone, and nerve fiber and muscle in place. It has nerves that make it almost as sensitive as our skin. Commonly, when we experience pain or discomfort, it's in our fascia, and it is either kind of a restriction or a stuckness in our fascia. It's a soft tissue, and it's really in your whole body, and it helps us transmit force throughout the body. That also means it takes the brunt of force, and so force is really anything. Whether we're lifting weights or not, there is force being placed in our body. Just standing against gravity, there's force being placed in our body. Two reasons I really like to talk about fascia in terms of self-care is one, a lot of times when we're stressed out, we have discomforts and pains. So working with our fascia and decreasing our pain levels can be really helpful for our stress levels. Two, I find it really helpful for people to create body awareness by using self massage and self touch. And when we are doing those practices, we're getting deep into our fascia. And I find that self massage and self touch are really great ways to care for ourselves, especially since a lot of us have been quarantined for a while and human touch really isn't encouraged anymore. It's really important to get that sense of touch from something else, whether that be, someone at home with you or yourself. So why is it important? This is me over here with all my little fascia related tools. And I literally carry a bunch of them in my backpack every day. I'm that person. So addressing issues in the fascia can help reduce pain, increase range of motion, help nourish muscles and nerves. The nerves responsible for proprioception, which is kind of knowing where your body is in space, are embedded in the fascia. So it literally connects us to ourselves. When our fascia moves well, we move well and we feel good. It helps our body sense itself without using your eyes. So if you close your eyes right now, you would probably be able to tell me where you are in space. If you shifted over to the right, you'd be able to sense that you were kind of shifted to the right. If you shifted forward, even with your eyes closed, you will sense that. Our fascia helps us do that. It communicates with our brain about where our body is and therefore can get overloaded really easily. So when we're talking about taking care of ourselves and we're talking about taking care of our physical body, it can be really important to address the fascia. So these are some rollout examples, and to save time this evening, I will be sending these out to you. And today I will show you some of the tools that I have in my office to roll out. But you'll also get all these YouTube videos for watch at your own time. But I use them on my upper back, my quads, the fronts of my thighs, the bottom of my feet, my bum muscles, my hips, my core. You can use it everywhere. It's my favorite thing. Alrighty. So this might be my favorite little dive in our entire session tonight. It is a newer topic that I've been working on with clients and with myself, and is one of the most impactful things that I've ever learned or ever spoken about. So everyone's heard of your nervous system, right? We have our autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for control of the bodily functions not consciously directed, such as breathing, heartbeat, and digestive processes. It breaks down into our flight or fight sympathetic response, or our rest and digest parasympathetic. So fight or flight is active when we're in threat or in danger. Rest and digest is our relaxation response, and it's associated with the vagus nerve. The problem is with the amount of stress that most people are under on a day-to-day basis, we get stuck in chronic fight or flight mode. When we're stuck in chronic fight or flight mode, it can have a lot of detrimental health effects on our body. Difficulty sleeping, brain fog, stomach issues, can even lead eventually to high blood pressure, stressors on our cardiovascular system, chronic pain, joint, muscle injury, lots of anxiety, depression. There's a lot of things that can come from being in chronic fight or flight. And chronic is really, we're not supposed to be in flight or fight mode for more than like a couple hours, really at most a couple of days. You think back in terms of evolution, fight or flight mode was really quote unquote built in our bodies so we could run from saber-toothed tigers. We really shouldn't back in the olden days, for lack of a better word, you're not running from tigers for 11 months on end. It's like a short thing. So we can get really burnt out really quickly when we're stuck in this chronic fight or flight state. So then another important piece of this puzzle in terms of nourishing the nervous system is the vagus nerve. Learning about the vagus nerve is my new favorite thing to do. And these are the practices that I think are really helpful for everyone I work with. Vagus nerve is one of the longest nerves in the body that helps regulate most of the body functions necessary for our health and emotional well-being. It's called the wandering nerve. It must be functioning properly for us to be healthy, feel good emotionally, and interact positively with family and friends. Commonly, when there's vagus nerve dysfunction, we feel like we can't connect well with others. So, some great ways to activate your vagus nerve that are super, super simple. First one is a vibration of the vagus nerve. So, singing, humming, and gargling stimulate the vagus nerve. Literally, gargling your mouthwash is a way to stimulate your vagus nerve and a way to practice self-care, and it's super freaking simple. That is why there's a lot of chanting in practices like yoga and some other ancient modalities of movement, is because humming and chanting stimulate the vagus nerve. NFT and EVT are gentle relaxation tricks to release tension in the trigeminal nerve, and I will show you those all at the end. And I'm just gonna make sure we're muted so I can, yeah, so awesome. Okay, and then Herbs Point massage is a point on our neck. And if you have a lot of neck and kind of upper trap tension, frequently I'll look at Herbs Point first. So it's on this kind of area of our sternocleidomastoid, and it's where 4 nerves come out. Once again, I'm going to show you these techniques at the end when I take my screen off, and we're going to do them together. So we'll go over the NFT and the EVT and the Herbs Point massage at the end when we do our mindful movements. And I also have videos of all of these to share with you all. So these are some fun little techniques that I just am obsessed with and are super simple self-care tricks. Another really important piece of self-care and really nourishing your nervous system is safety and finding a safe place. I think it's really important to have a space in your home or in your office where you can feel comfortable, feel safe, and feel really nourished. So for some people, that might be like a room in your home. For some people, that's like their nightstand where they keep like a candle. For me at my home office, it's like a little corner of my desk where I have my candle and my sage, and maybe like my journal. And it's just a really great way for me to feel safe and feel kind of connected to something else. I think creating a safe place for yourself, a safe space for yourself, or a comforting and nourishing space for yourself is actually one of the biggest practices of self-care we can do, especially for women. And another kind of note on safety, when our nervous system doesn't feel safe, we're in fight or flight mode, whether that we are actively under stress or not. Our nervous system always wants to feel safe. So if there's anything kind of in your home or in your office space that makes you uneasy, it puts us more in a fight or flight mode, which can be really disturbing to our nervous system. So even say, I think about this all the time when traveling. Not that I've traveled anywhere anytime soon, but I have a couple of friends who used to travel a lot for work, and they say like how it was really unnerving to like go from one hotel room to another and just never really feel like they were settled. So kind of giving them practices where like there was one thing in their hotel room every time they went that felt really comforting or really nourishing or just made them feel more at home. So for some people that's like bringing pictures with them. For some people that's kind of setting up their dresser with like a candle or like laying out your things can be really a way to create safety in an unknown environment. So another really great thing to talk about in the realm of self-care is our lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system is an organ system that helps get rid of toxins, waste, and unwanted products in the body. It runs parallel to our circulatory system, and most people only know about the lymphatic system when they have a major problem with it. So things like lymphedema after surgery or after cancer or swelling in extremities. Most people don't pay attention to their lymphatic system unless there's a problem with their lymphatic system. But our lymphatic system is super important for how we function and how we process things. So our lymphatic system is really active overnight. when we're sleeping because it helps our body rid it of natural toxins. So every day we live on this earth, toxins enter our body. Some of them are even produced by our own body. The process of working out breaks down muscle, and that creates unwanted waste products. That's not a bad thing, but our body does need to get rid of that so it can build muscle back up. So the lymphatic system is really important for us to help build new muscle, heal injuries, heal illnesses, prevent diseases, and it's often overlooked. There's some really simple self-care practices that you can incorporate into your daily life that can support your lymphatic system and can go a really, really long way. And let's talk about them. So these are some fun facts about the lymphatic system before we dive in, because not many people know them, and it blows my mind. So placed end to end in a straight line, all the lymph vessels in the body would cover a distance of over 100,000 miles, circling the globe 4 times. You have over 10 liters of lymphatic fluid in your body. That's more than blood. And there are 700 lymph nodes in your body, and a third of them are located in your neck. Have you ever had a sore throat and your lymph nodes have been kind of swollen, or the doctor checks kind of right underneath your jawline to see if you have strep or anything like that? So most of us, the only other reason I will say, not the only other reason, but another reason people know the lymphatic system is because of swollen lymph nodes. So if you've ever had, say, an infection, lymph nodes can get swollen if they're kind of overwhelmed and they're fighting off an active infection. So another piece of this is there's a deep connection to your immune system with the lymphatic system. So the better your lymphatic system is operating, the better your immune system is operating. So it's the sewage system of your body. It helps get rid of cellular waste, and it's mostly water, and then it's cellular waste. It also has a really deep connection to the immune system via the gut, because 70% of your immune system comes from your gut. So supporting your lymphatic system is not also a great way to practice self-care, but it's a great way to support your immune system, which is very helpful right now, especially. Alrighty, so some how-tos, how to add in some lymphatic love into your day-to-day life. Number one thing, diaphragmatic breathing. One of the most important things you can do to move your lymph. Your diaphragm is our respiratory muscle. It is attaches right to the rib cage at the bottom of your ribs, and it kind of rises and falls as we breathe. Problem is, most of us are very big chest breathers and breathe through our mouth, so we take really shallow breaths. Taking shallow breaths doesn't activate our diaphragm. When we activate our diaphragm, it helps stimulate the lymphatic system to move. And actually, I'm just going to take a little side note before I dive into a couple more things here. The lymphatic system does not have a pump. Our circulatory system has a pump. It's our heart. If our heart stops pumping, our blood stops flowing, which isn't a great thing. Our lymphatic system does not have a pump. It is pumped through the muscles of our body and our breathing. So when we're not moving our body and when we're not taking deep breaths, the lymph is not moving. A great example of this I was thinking about, have you ever been so tired that you've fallen asleep and you woke up in the same position you fell asleep in? And you wake up and you're all stiff and you're all creaky and you're like, what did I do? Sometimes it happens after one too many glasses of wine as well. So the reason you feel stiff and achy is because the lymphatic system wasn't functioning to help move fluid throughout your body. We all naturally toss and turn while we're sleeping, which naturally helps our lymph move. All right, back into the how to move your lymph. I just had to add that little tidbit in. So diaphragmatic breathing is really important. Excuse me. By taking deeper breaths and activating our diaphragm, we're moving our lymph. So to activate your diaphragm, you need to breathe into the rib cage and think about your diaphragm, which is attached to your rib cage, descending and lowering into your stomach as you inhale. I got so excited, I'm choking on my own water. Alrighty, there we go. And then ascending, lifting up on your exhale. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's really helpful. So let's practice that actually a little bit here before we move on. I'm gonna have you place your hands kind of right under on your rib cage, either on the sides or on the front. And on your next inhale, I want you to fill up and picture your hands being pushed away from you with your breath. And on your exhale, let the hands fall towards your center. Inhaling, rib cage expands. Exhaling, rib cage softens. So that's a really simple way to practice diaphragmatic breathing. You can also do it when you are on your stomach or on your back. There's a lot of different ways to practice diaphragmatic breathing. Another great way to move your lymph is exercise. The second most important thing for moving your lymph is exercise. So that can be super intense exercise. That can be super kind of easy exercise. Anything works, just moving your body is the important part, especially with a lot of people at their desks seated for long periods of time. Getting up once an hour, even just to shake it out, can be a really great way to move lymph throughout your body. Another great way to stimulate lymph flow is bouncing, jumping. I add dancing in here, like any dynamic moving that kind of just gets your body going. So doesn't mean to like do jump squats or box jumps. It just means like kind of bouncing on your toes or dancing in place. Even like jump roping can be helpful. Another really fun one, if you have the space for it or you have kids and can justify getting a big one, is trampoline. A trampoline is a great way to stimulate your lymphatic system. I have a little mini one in my office and I try to get on it every day and do 100 jumps just because it feels good. You can recreate that just by bouncing and jumping at home. Alrighty, another form of self-care that we're going to dive into tonight is breath work. So breath work is the foundation for many healing arts practices such as yoga, meditation, and energetic medicine. Really at the very basic level, it is the foundation of life. And back to the lymphatic system is really important for our lymphatic system. It can help shift emotions, it can help calm anxiety and stress, it can uplift and energize. There's so many different ways we can use our breath to our advantage. You can use it to activate your sympathetic nervous system. So you're at that fight or flight. So you need to be like energized, or you need to like get ready for say you're playing a sports game, you need to get ready for that, or you need to get ready for a big work presentation. You can use a stimulating breath to kind of wake you up, or you can use it to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, to calm you down before bed maybe, or before a presentation, depending on what you need. So some different types of breath work that I really love for self-care. One is alternate nostril breathing, also known as Nadi Shodhana. I have a video of that on my YouTube channel as well. And it can be used to balance the nervous system. Box breathing is one of my all-time favorite breath work practices because it is so simple and you can literally do it anywhere. And I practice it almost every day. So it can heighten performance and concentration and is also a powerful stress reliever. What is it? So for box breathing, you inhale for a count of, say, 4. You hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4, and then hold. So it's like a little square. Two sides of those squares are your inhales and exhales. The other 2 sides are your holds. You can practice kind of equal 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, pick a number. Or on to our next point, you can practice doing it with lengthening the exhale. So you can do inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, get a little rectangle going on, or a weird shaped rectangle, and then hold for 6. Lengthening the exhale is one of the best ways to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest nervous system, and get your body into a state of rest and relaxation. I use box breathing driving. I use it while seated at my desk. I use it while walking. I love doing it while walking. So I will walk for 4 steps and inhale, walk for 4 steps and hold, exhale for 4 steps, hold for 4 steps, and I'll repeat. It's also a really great mindfulness practice because you kind of listen to your steps on the ground and you become really focused in the moment and you can't really look at your phone while doing it. So those are my kind of 3. There's tons of different types of breath work, and I will say that. And I don't believe there's like any wrong way of breath work, or there's any like bad breath work. I think everything serves a different purpose, and there's lots of different ways to perform breath work. And these are just some of my personal favorites that I use on a day-to-day basis. Alrighty. So before we do a couple of demonstrations, I want to talk a little bit about this self-care master list. Basically, I just gave you lots of different things to add to your self-care master list, but that doesn't mean you have to do all of them, or nor should you. I work with all my clients to create a self-care master list. So you start a list either on your phone, or I like pen and paper, or on your computer, wherever it is. And as you try new things, you notice how they feel and if they work for you, and you write them down. So you start to create a list of all the different things that help you relieve stress in your day-to-day life and feel better in your body. And the reason I really think a self-care master list is so important and why I recommend it highly is because sometimes we don't have the energy or the space to think about what am I going to do for myself. And when we don't have that energy and we only have 20 minutes between Zoom calls, or between like work ending and kids coming home, or between one job and the next, we don't do anything then sometimes when we don't have something ready at the front of our mind. So as you try new things, you notice what feels good, you write it down, and then when you have a pocket of time in your day or in your week, you can then go to your self-care master list and go, oh, you know what? I know box breathing really works for me. Let me do that. And it's a really gentle reminder of what works and what doesn't. Some of my clients even go as far as to write little keywords next to it. So say box breathing makes you feel really grounded. Just write box breathing and grounding. Say working on your lymph system helps you, like diaphragmatic breathing helps you feel really energized. Diaphragmatic breathing, energizing. So then depending on where you are in your day or your week, you can pick the practices that work for you. Another really important piece of this self-care master list is recognizing that a little bit goes a long way. Self-care doesn't need to be complicated, and it doesn't need to be like 4 hours at a spa. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to go to a spa and spend 4 hours there, but most people in their day-to-day life, in their week-to-week life, don't have that possibility and that time. So it doesn't need to be that. It can be small things like mindful walk home from the car, or 5 minutes of breath work, or 5 minutes of movement. It can be really small things. I'm a huge fan of consistency, and a little bit goes, and something is better than nothing. So I would personally rather my clients do one thing every day that makes them feel good than wait until once a month to spend 6 hours at the spa. I just think it's more effective to stay consistent and do a little bit each day. Because by doing a little bit each day, we're preventing ourselves from getting overloaded instead of waiting until we're kind of at the brink and we need, it's like when you're like, okay, I'm not going to take a vacation day until I absolutely need it. And then you need it so bad. I think it's better to kind of take it do a little bit of something every day so you don't get to that point of kind of breaking down, for lack of a better word. Another really important piece of this self-care kind of as a whole is to slow down. I know it's easier said than done, and I'm the worst at taking this advice, but the more you slow down, the more we can notice how you feel, and the better we can handle stress. When you notice how you feel and you notice what feels good, you can take actions to continue to feel good. So even when you're in a stressful situation, you can take the steps that you need to help relieve stress and take care of yourself. So I highly recommend creating a self-care master list and just starting to write some things down. And maybe some of the things we spoke about today spoke to you, and you can start to write them down. All righty. That is the end of the kind of lecture portion of our slides today. This is just my contact information, contact@carrymcginn.com. My website is carrymcginn.com, and I'm at Live Good Feel Good on Instagram, where I spend a lot of time sharing some good stuff. I am going to be putting out a couple of programs in the coming weeks about nourishing your nervous system, and I will be sharing them over on Instagram and in my newsletter. And if you'd like to get on my newsletter, then you can shoot me your email address either in the chat below, or if you signed up, I do have your email, just not everyone signed up via the link. So what I'm going to come now is I'm going to stop the share and kind of put the view back on me. Beautiful. Hi, everyone. And we're going to go through a couple of practices. I'm going to scooch back because this is up close and personal. But we're going to go through a couple of these self-care practices. Push this back a little bit together. And feel free to practice this right now if you have the space around you. But if you don't worry because they'll be on the recording and you'll all get that. So the first thing I want to show you is a mindful movement sequence that I love when if you've been doing a lot of desk work, a lot of seated desk work. So let me just scooch back a bit. Sorry, I'm moving a lot right now. I just want to make sure you can see me completely. So wherever you are, just find a comfortable seat, kind of get your shoulders stacked over your hips, get a little of these wiggles out. And I love mindful movement that kind of syncs my movement to my breath. For some people, that can be like a little panic inducing. Some people don't like kind of syncing up with their breath, and that's okay. You don't have to. But I invite you to try it. And if you don't like it, you can just leave it behind. All right. So I'll walk you through it once, and then we can do it a couple times together. On your next inhale, you're going to reach your arms up to the sky. And then you're going to exhale, bring your hands together at heart center. Inhale, interlace your hands. Exhale, press your palms away, tuck your chin around your back. On your inhale, hands come on back up to the sky. And then exhale, take a little side bend up and over to one side. Inhale through center. Exhale up and over to the other side. Inhale back through center. And then exhale, take a really big arm circle back and let your hands land on your thighs. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. We're going to go through that 2 more times together. Inhale, fingertips reach to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, interlace your hands. Exhale, press your palms away around your back. Tuck your chin, reach. Inhale, hands reach back up to the sky. Exhale, side bend to one side. Inhale through center. Exhale, side bend to the other. So good. Come on. Back through center. Take a really big arm circle back. Hands come to your thighs. Full breath in. Full breath out. One more. Inhale, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, find the interlace. Exhale, press the palms away around the back, tuck the chin. Inhale, palms up to the sky. Exhale, side bend up and over to one side. Inhale through center. Exhale, side bend to the other. Inhale through center. Exhale, arm circle back. So good. So that's just a little sequence that I put together for myself and a lot of clients after a lot of work at a computer. It's just syncing one breath to one movement. You can really do with anything. Some people even just do it kind of side to side like this, but it's kind of taking a push back from the computer and just, I like to do it even closing my eyes and just really being able to check in with my body and my breath instead of like what computer screen is directly in front of me. Like I said, any movement can be mindful movement. That is just an example of a kind of routine that I like to do at my desk and that I go through with lots of clients. And it's great because you can just do it while seated. So I hope that was helpful. And if you have questions about that, feel free to pop it in the chat. I'll be getting the questions in just a couple of moments. Alrighty, I have my little list of all the things, all the demos that we're going to go over. So I want to go over Herbs Point massage because it's a really powerful point and can be really helpful for some neck discomfort and even some upper tract kind of discomfort. So I'm just going to pull my hair back so you guys can see my neck. So Herbs Point is a really important point on our neck. We have this muscle called our sternocleidomastoid. You kind of see this kind of like thing that's bulging out here a little bit. It goes from your sternum, which is down here, up to up to here. So it goes from your sternocleidomastoid, I just lost my train of thought there. So you're coming from here to here, kind of at a diagonal. So about midway, I see it when it pops up like that, right? And some people can even like, if it's really tight, can kind of grab them. So midway through that sternocleidomastoid, right here, so that's the middle point of it. Behind it, just a little bit, is Herbs Point. Erb's point is the part where 4 different nerves come out, and some of them are called cranial nerves. Our cranial nerves are really important because they kind of feed back into that vagus nerve and give our body lots of feedback, and they're really important in our kind of stress response. So one of my favorite ways to massage Erb's point is to just find that point and really gently, you're not pushing into that spot, you're laying your hands over your skin and you're just going backward, yikes, and forward. And noticing if one is harder or easier to do. So right now it's easier for me to go back. So then I'm just gonna take a little stretch back and like stretch the skin so you can see that I'm not really pressing, I'm just dragging the skin back here. That helps stretch those muscles without irritating them. Another really great way, and that's kind of a segue into that NFT that I talked about earlier, and we'll go over that in a moment. Another really great simple way to get to that Erb's point is either using the heel of your hand or one of my favorite tools, the Courageous Ball from Yoga Tune-Up. And I'll speak about this more in just a second. So with your hand, you can all do this with me. You're gonna take the heel of your hand to, let's say, your left ear, right? Kind of the base of your ear. Be careful of your earrings on like me. So I'm gonna look over my right shoulder. My right hand's gonna be the base of my left ear. I'm gonna take an inhale. As I exhale, I'm gonna drag the heel of my hand across my neck and turn my head to the left. Good. Coming back over, turn the head to the right, hand to the left ear, take an inhale. Exhale, heel of the hand drags, look over your left shoulder. With the ball, you can do the same thing. I'm going to take my earring out for this so I don't rip my new earring. And you're going to take the ball kind of at the edge. And this is like almost like a deflated playground ball. So you take it here, and then as you turn your head, you're going to gently drag this across. And I actually like to spin it too, just because it feels really good. So I recommend trying that on both sides, just kind of dragging the heel of your hand across. And I know it's not that same kind of like deep massage if you were to go see a massage therapist, but it is just as effective at stimulating that Erb's point, which can help relieve a lot of tension in the neck and can also help stimulate that vagus nerve that we spoke about throughout today's session. So then NFT is another really great kind of really easy self-care technique that you can do. And I'm going to come a little bit closer to the screen this time because we're going to do a spot on our eyebrow. So this one is my favorite, especially if you ever have any kind of migraines or headaches that originate kind of in through here. Excuse me. So there's our trigeminal nerve, which is a cranial nerve in our face that feeds back into that vagus nerve, comes out here. So it comes out here, here, and here. I'm going to show you the technique up here because I find that most effective and the one that people like the most. You can do it here and here, but today we're just going to do this. So you're going to take your pointer finger and you're going to find kind of the inside edge of your eyebrow. You're going to go about a finger's distance in. And you might even notice, like on my right side, I sometimes will feel like a bump or like a little ridge, and it might be tender. So I'm going to find that little spot, and it might not be, it doesn't have to be tender, but some people are like, oh, that's tender, and get surprised. So I just always like to share that it might be. So once again, you're not pressing, you're just gently laying your finger there. You're then going to lift your skin up versus down. Notice for me which direction it's easier to go in. So for me right now, it's easier to go down. Then I'm going to come back through center and go in versus out. Notice once again where it's easier to go. So for me, easier to go in. So then I'm going to go down and in and just stretch the skin. So down and in and stretch the skin. And you'll start to notice my finger, you might feel a stretch even. You'll start to notice my finger just slip. I'm going to let my finger go where my skin kind of tells it to go and finish it out. And you can redo that again, kind of retest up versus down, in versus out. Ideally, it would be equal in all 4 directions, but that can take a little bit of time. That stimulates the trigeminal nerve, which can stimulate the vagus nerve and can be really helpful for our stress response and our ability to connect with others. It also feels really good, which is really nice. So since we did it on one side, let's do it on the other. Up versus down, in versus out. So once again, it's easier for me to go down and in. So I'm going to go down and in. And this side's a little tender for me, so I might repeat it more than once to get kind of that added effect. Let it slide. You might notice when you do this sort of thing that you take a deep breath or a yawn or a sigh. That's a really good signal that you're getting to that parasympathetic nervous system, that body's starting to like, ooh, relax and release. That's another, I don't know why I just thought of this right now, but I figured I'd share it with you guys. You know, sometimes there are just like certain people that when you are around them, you feel relaxed, and you might even start to yawn without realizing it. That's a good sign that you feel safe in the presence of that person, especially if it's someone like maybe you're like snuggling with someone and you start like, why am I yawning everywhere? I'm not even tired. That's the nervous system kind of settling into a sense of safety, and in a place of comfort. So when we get those sensations, you can kind of surrender into them instead of fighting them. It's our body kind of trying to downregulate itself. Beautiful. Let's see where we are in time. Oh, wonderful. Alrighty, let's do, I just want to give one more little practical self-care tip, and then I'm going to open up the floor for any questions at all, whether you want to unmute yourself or you want to pop in the chat. But first, another really great way to stimulate the cranial nerves and to activate the vagus nerve is going to sound really silly, but it's literally getting into your scalp. So I teach this at the end of a lot of yoga classes. I'll have people take their hands, and once again, feel free to join me here, into their head and just start to use shampoo fingers on their hair, like really mess up your hair. I'm gonna give myself really wild and crazy hair here. And really, especially the areas it feels tender, the areas it feels good. You can use the pads of your fingers, you can use your nails. This is gonna stimulate a lot of those cranial nerves. And that's why if you've ever gotten like your hair washed or your hair done, you're like, why does this feel so good? It's stimulating your nervous system and helping to really soothe your nervous system. Another really nice thing, and some massage therapists will do this at the end, is like kind of pull your hair a little bit. It's a really great way to also stimulate the nervous system. I like to make sure I kind of get like in all different directions. A lot of people will kind of focus on this direction, but in kind of the back of your head, the bottom of your hair, really kind of gently stimulating it. It can feel really, really nice on the, not only on the scalp, but it's really good for your nervous system. So that's a really quick, easy, practical tool to kind of like soothe yourself a little bit and feel good in your body. And I've just totally messed up my hair. So if you're with me, go for it. Really mess up your hair. It's the end of the day, right? So yeah, those are some really simple tricks to kind of add to your self-care master list. Scalp massage. And one of the things with that kind of scalp massage and hair pulling is you want it to feel interesting. So you don't, if you're just like kind of continuously scratching your head and it no longer feels good or feels interesting, then it's no longer having kind of the desired effect on the nervous system. So that's why I like to alternate between like the pads of my fingers, my nails, and pulling my hair, because it always kind of stays interesting then. So those are just a couple of different ways to nourish your nervous system. I think next month we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the nervous system first, and there's a lot of really fun little tricks like that. And it'll be another free webinar. So yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit deeper next time. So first of all, thank you all so much for joining me here today. It is an absolute pleasure to present this, whether you're here live or you're listening to the recording. Thank you so much. My name is Carrie McGinn. I am a physical therapist, yoga instructor, and coach at Live Good, Feel Good. And I work one-on-one with clients. I have group programs. I have workout programs. I teach group exercise class, group yoga classes, and I have a lot of fun new things coming in the spring. And I'm going to be continuing to host free webinars for anyone who wants to join in. No commitment. The only commitment really is if you would like the replay or you would like the ebooks that go along with them, it's just giving me your email so I can shoot them over to you. So I'm going to open up the floor now for questions on gallery view. You can keep your cameras off if you want to, but if you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or to pop them in the chat. I'll be answering them either way there. Yeah, and thank you guys so much. Beautiful, no questions. And if you would like um, if you didn't sign up through Ribbon and you got the link via the Facebook group and you would like the replay and you would like the ebook, please either chat me privately your email address or reach out to me via my email, which is and I'll pop it in the chat, contact at carriemegan.com, and I will get you both the replay, which will be available tomorrow, and the free ebook, which will also be available tomorrow. Beautiful. I'll stick around for a couple more moments in case you guys have any last minute questions or you need to think about it a little bit. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening. Once again, thank you so much for joining me here. It was an absolute pleasure, and I hope you learned something fun. Bye, everyone.